Guys, welcome back, or welcome if you're new here. My name is Shayna, and in my little corner of the internet, we talk about spooky history of all kinds. If that sounds like something you're interested in, be sure to hit that subscribe button and notification bell so you don't miss any of my weekly uploads. Or if podcasts are more your thing, I do have a podcast that I will have linked down in the description for you. So today's episode is a pretty good one, in my opinion. Well, it's kind of cool. We are going to be talking about the Mexico cenotes. Now, cenotes are these beautiful yet very dangerous as well as mysterious sinkholes that open to subterranean water sources. They are part cave and part sinkhole. This naturally occurs when limestone bedrock collapses into a cavernous sinkhole, which then fills with water, and it creates a sort of underground lake. Now, the water that is in these sinkholes is usually pretty fresh. It's filtered by the earth and the stone and leaves it nice and clear. Now, during the daytime, you can usually see all the way to the bottom through the water. So that's pretty cool. Now, like I said a minute ago, they usually resemble lakes, but they're kind of like rivers because the water is constantly moving. These cenotes are connected with one another, meaning they have these winding tunnels and gaps in the rock, which in turn creates a never-ending flow of water. Now, if you're swimming in them, you won't really feel the current, but it's what makes the water so fresh because it's constantly flowing. Now, these are really pretty cool to look at, and they're very popular tourist attractions. Now, because it has tunnels, it's like a cave, so these cenotes attract divers, but it can be a very dangerous place to go dive at because they can get pretty dark in these cenotes. And it's also similar to a maze, so it would be easy to get lost or even stuck if you don't know where to go. And these cenotes are considered to be pretty sacred places because they're so unique and beautiful. So ancient people would consider them to be holy. They would come and draw water because it was so fresh and drinkable and never seemed to run out. The Mayans had a strong connection to them because it was their main source of water, but also because they believed it was an entrance to the underworld. So they were known to throw their personal items into these sinkholes, such as pots, clothes, jewelry, sculptures, and precious stones as offerings. Now, the cenotes were also known as pilgrimage points for the ancient people. Many of these ancient people lived in the Yucatan area, where there was known to be at least 6,000 cenotes. And it's also believed that the cities were purposefully built around them, which makes sense because they had such an abundance of water. Now, the really creepy part is that archaeologists have explored these areas and have found some of the cenotes were converted into temples and found signs of animal offerings and even human sacrifice. So that's not very good. In 2010, there was an archaeologist and he was exploring a cenote named Holton when he came across what looked like a natural rock shelf that had a human skull as well as a two-edged knife. It appeared to be placed deliberately, meaning the head belonged to someone killed in a ritual sacrifice. Yikes. They believed that not all of the skeletons that were found there were from human sacrifice, but that maybe some people were just exploring the cave and were never able to get out. But there is an entire cavern floor that is filled with human remains. Divers discovered at least 15 skulls in that area, but it was hard to determine if it was from sacrifice or not. It may have been a place where plague victims were thrown after death, but the ancient people ultimately feared and respected these cenotes. Actually, they still fear and respect them to this day. They say that in order to go into a particular cenote, a shaman has to, quote, calm the earth so that people don't get killed. Sounds like Bad News Bears. The locals believe that a legendary guardian haunts the spot. So let's quickly talk about this Mayan Guardian and what they believe because it's kind of interesting. So here is a very brief summary. So essentially, thousands of years ago, the Mayans were in a drought and they prayed to their rain god. While the rain god was looking for water in the cenotes, came across this viper called Sukin. He forced this viper to take him to the ocean where he could then collect water for the Mayans. Well, the viper didn't like this and of course retaliated. The god got so annoyed at the viper and whipped her, causing lightning to fall on her, which then turned her into thousands of drops of water that spread all over the earth. And this is, according to the Mayans, the water that filled up the cenotes, as well as cursing the viper to be the eternal protector of the cenotes. So this is why the shamans do the ceremony, so that this guardian doesn't kill people when they enter, supposedly. But the locals believe that most, if not all, the cenotes are haunted by spirits. I really did try to find some ghost stories that were linked to these places, but I couldn't find any to read to you, so I apologize. Essentially, people would just experience like these sounds of people walking up to them, or they will hear people talking, just phantom voices out in the middle of nowhere where there's nobody. They'll see shadows, stuff like that. But the sad thing about these cenotes is that they are essentially sinkholes, and there are so many of them that are under these ancient landmarks, meaning over time these landmarks will eventually be destroyed by collapsing into a sinkhole. Now, there is a 1,000-year-old temple called the El Castillo, and it's this beautiful castle-like pyramid and is one of the most famous monuments in the Americas. But underneath is this massive cenote, and it's complete with an underground river flowing through it. It's more than 65 feet deep, and researchers believe that the pyramid may have been intentionally built on top as some sort of spiritual purpose, but with the ground being unstable, it will likely collapse in the future and will be gone, which is kind of sad. But honestly, the cenotes are really fascinating and beautiful. People just love to go and visit it, and I would honestly love to visit one day because they're so cool looking. I am both fascinated and terrified of caves. Truly an odd combination. There's a little story. About a week after my husband and I got married, we went on our honeymoon, and we went to Silver Dollar City in Branson, Missouri, and they have this massive cave that you can explore. And you take this lantern and go on this tour with this guide, and at one point they have you turn off all the lanterns and it's just pitch black. I already don't like the dark because the fact that something could literally be lingering right next to you and you have no idea is truly terrifying to me. But honestly, it was so much fun, and I wish we could explore more caves and stuff, you know, safely with tours. Who knows? Maybe we will in the future. I know this was kind of a short little episode, but I just thought it was kind of cool and wanted to talk about it, and I hope you guys enjoyed it. But that's going to be it for me today, guys. I hope you all have a very blessed day, and I'll see you guys later. Bye.